I think it's fair to say that you are in for a treat today. We've got both Ellie and Matilda, and are these girls going to give you a lot of smiles? We've got voracious eating, and we've got some of the most amazing positions that you can imagine. So, come on in. What's up, YouTube? Welcome to Koala Gardens. Please make sure you smash that like button and leave me a comment. I'm Katrina and I'm passionate about saving koalas. I have a wildlife sanctuary and you get to share the experiences here with me. I also help create a beautiful series of children's books based on the animals here on the property. Please make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. You can help me help koalas even more. Closed captions are available in several languages thanks to Eric. And now, sit back and enjoy the video. These two lots of videos are actually taken one day after the other. They're in a very similar area to each other on the property, over, if you're getting familiar with the property map, over in areas 10 and 11. So Ellie is in area 10 and we're going to see Matilda in area 11. Ellie is one that I almost always see in either the really large mature forest red gums or in some of the bigger tallow woods that are now around 20 metres tall. But today when I came along, I found her enjoying a meal in one of the younger and smaller forest red gums. This is a self-sown tree, so that means that it came from seed from the original native trees, those big mature trees that you've often seen on the property, rather than young saplings that were brought into the property and planted. You can see that the trunks of these young trees are really quite thin, and that's really common with the self-sown trees because they tend to grow from batches of seed. If you imagine what a gum nut looks like, and the gum nut holds a number of seeds inside it, and when it reaches maturity, a little plug comes out of the top of the gum nut and the seed scatters. So if you can imagine having a little packet of seed and having it in your hand and just holding it above the ground and letting go and just letting that seed scatter, you would have some of those seeds might fall only a centimetre beside each other, some might be 30 centimetres away from each other, but they're certainly not going to be being planted in rows at an equal distance. So what this means is that there's a lot more competition when they're younger, and so they often grow slower and grow quite a spindly trunk when they're young, and as they mature, then they kind of sort themselves out. So what that means is one or two out of an area of a dozen or so trees will just be a bit more robust, grow a little bit taller. They'll therefore get better access to the sun and be shading out the ones underneath, and they will take off. And by the time they've been growing for 8 to 10 years, they tend to be as big as a tree that was planted 8 to 10 years previously. What I also noticed on this particular day is that Ellie is really enjoying the paler green, younger tip growth. Now, some people would actually think, oh, well, that makes sense. Wouldn't they always go for those juicy, tasty, younger leaves? Well, in actual fact, not always. I often observe koalas choosing to eat the larger, tougher looking leaves, like that one right in front of Ellie's face at the moment. And the choice that they make is more to do with the eucalypt contents, the elements that make up that eucalyptus oil in the leaf. If the weather has been dry and there are some leaves that have a better moisture content, certainly they will go for them. But it's more to do with that chemical composition of the leaf. At some times of the year, the newer fresh growth actually has a higher content of the elements that are found in eucalyptus oil that can be so toxic. Obviously, in this tree at the moment, these younger tips of growth, which we can easily see are a much paler colour, are really getting Ellie's attention and she's feasting on them. What this actually also does for the tree is it is going to encourage the tree to burst forth with even more growth. I don't know if you've noticed that if you prune a plant back, it actually bursts out with more fingers of growth at the place where you cut it, and so she's actually doing a job of helping to look after the eucalypts. The times that this becomes an issue is when there are not enough trees for the amount of koalas and they overgraze, and then that actually puts too much stress on the tree. But as you probably know, there are around 5,000 trees on the property here at Koala Gardens. So eating all the tips that she can get out of this young tree is not going to hurt it at all. In fact, it's probably going to be good for the tree. In actual fact, it's fair to say that even if she overgrazed this one tree, that would allow more light to get through to younger trees underneath and would give a burst of growth to another tree. So for the entire forest of trees, she's still doing good for them. I decided to move the quad bike around a little bit to another angle to see if I could get a better view through to her. That's one of the really mature trees, very likely could be the parent tree of the tree that Ellie's in, or else this large tree that's in the background there could be the parent tree. So we're coming down and now focusing into where Ellie is, and no, I don't really have a better view to her from this spot at all. So I moved the bike again, and now as you can see I'm around another side and pretty much looking straight through onto Ellie's back. She's taken a little bit of a break from actually feeding and is looking around, giving us an absolutely delightful profile view. We can see that very feminine shape to her face, and we can clearly see how large her ears are in relation to the size of her head. Another thing we can quite clearly see from here are those two thumbs where she's holding onto the branch there. And now I'm going to zoom back out and give you a bit of an appreciation for how tough this filming actually is, because I am literally peeking through one tiny little spot to get to see Ellie. She's taken a bit of a break from her meal, have a good scratch, and now she's settling back to find some more of those scrumptious, paler new growth leaf. Even from here where we are quite a distance away, the new growth is really quite obvious. And that's not always the case, and maybe that has got something to do with what is making them so appealing to her today. Even eating this relatively softer new growth leaf, Ellie still needed to spend nearly an hour in order to get a full meal. And now it's the next day, we're in area 11, and I must say, I don't know that that pouch bulge is really looking any different in May to what it was looking in April. So I'm staying very reserved on my opinion about Matilda's pouch bulge. What I will, however, say without a shadow of a doubt is that Matilda is the absolute queen of the most ridiculous positions that could even ever be imagined. Now she is scratching her bottom with her teeth while sitting in that position, and all I can say is that brings tears to this girl's eyes. It's obviously not bothering her in the least. All she is concerned with is just having a good bit of a groom and a bit of a sit back, as though this is the best thing she can imagine. You can even see a little thin spider web at times, as though it was a bit of a line going up and down the screen, but that's definitely a web between Matilda and myself. Now she's having a good scratch with her back leg over on her shoulder. I would just love it if I was as supple as any koala. Look at the way she's sitting. I had so much trouble taking this footage because I was just laughing inside so much. And just when I thought I was going to get a nice bit of action, because I was in such a good spot for sitting and filming her, she had a bit of a scratch and turned her back to me. And do you know what? You have reached the end of quite a long video. So would you write in the comments below, "Eat up, girls"? Hope you enjoyed this video. Stay around. There's lots more yet to come this year. Thanks for visiting Koala Gardens. Did you hit the like button? Now before you go, there's lots more great video to see, and make sure you've subscribed and hit that notification bell.